I hate to say it, I hope I don't sound ridiculous, but I don't like Cory Baxter. I don't know who this man is. Like, you want to root for Raven a lot of the times, but sometimes she makes it so difficult. And I literally says in the theme song, you can gaze into the future. Like I said, I keep it real. I keep it straight up. We're going to get into the issues with Raven. I adore her, but sis,
when the music starts bumping, the whole place will be jumping. It's my scene, my scene. You know what I mean. It's my scene, my scene. You know what I mean. My scene.
You're a gay icon. We love you.
woo. I'm sorry I had to get that out. I've been working on this video all month. Woo. Hey y'all, it's Harriyanna and I'm back with another video. Hello, my name is Harriyanna and welcome to the pirate ship, Harry Hook's pirate ship. Remember, I am the captain. You are not the first mate. I have no first mate, okay? I have a second, I have a third, I have a fourth, I have a fifth, I even have a 10th. I have no first, so yeah, get that right. Hello, my name is Harriyanna. I like to make content based off nostalgia, family, and children's entertainment, and all the issues that I find within those spaces. That was my third take of doing that, and I'm not recording it again. Okay, but special shout out to the Wacky Deli. They helped me so much during the process of me making this video because it was just so much material to cover, and I just wanted to make sure I hit on all the right stuff. Thank you, Deli. I love you. The best dog a girl can ask for. I will put their channel down below. But before we get started, you know, we got to do the self promo. Y'all, also, I got to do my outfit of the day. Y'all see this hoodie? We're not worried about this right now. We worried about me. We'll get back to that in a minute. So you guys see, I'm mad that I'm not wearing my hook necklace, but that doesn't matter today. I'm wearing some of my merch. I am wearing the lip gloss color Uma right now from my Descendants collection. I'm wearing Bubbles bunny headband that she wore, so yes, super duper cute. And also I'm wearing the color, this nail color. Yes, we are selling nail polish. I made my own nail polishes. I am that girl. I am that girl in the color Fuzzy Lumpkin. So it's a really cute sparkly pink color that looks a bit fuzzy, like Fuzzy Lumpkin. So yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed to Harriyannahook's mailing list. Go to harriyannahook.com, sign up, follow Harriyannahook on Instagram. Yes, we open up shop this month. And I already mentioned this. Y'all know who this dude is. Y'all know who this is. Go buy his merch. And also my hair is just a bit kind of blown out today. I didn't really blow it out. I just kind of washed it and let it do. I'm really enjoying the way I'm looking today. I'm feeling myself. Next, we have Patreon. I post a lot of exclusive behind the scenes content over there. You get early access to all my videos, including this one. Thank you guys if you're watching this early. And also, I post a lot of exclusive videos that do not see the light of day over here. You get access to my Discord server. Please join if you can. Thank you guys so much for everybody that is over there. We hit 100. I screamed. I really screamed to the top of my lungs. And last but not least, please go support The Progenies. The Progenies is a Descendants fan series that I and many other people are in the process of making it. We want to portray these Descendants characters in a better light and a more diverse light because Descendants has race issues and we're tired of it. Anyway, that's all the self-promo for today. We can finally get into this video. Happy Black History Month. This video was originally supposed to be posted in January, but I was like, no, I think it would be a bit nicer for it to be in February because, you know, Black History Month. Today is going to be all about Raven. Now, it's kind of sad how I came to like making this video. I originally was not going to do this video as in-depth as I am today. I was just going to talk about one aspect of it and like go from it, which I still will do in the future. But today we're just going to take an objective look, a deep dive into the series that is That's So Raven, also known as one of the most iconic Disney Channel series to this day. But we're going to talk about what about it made it so iconic. And yeah, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, like the main reason why I decided to make this video is because Alex Mayers, who is a big YouTuber who is known for his half-ass reviews. I said what I said, I'm not taking it back. It's he made a video about That's So Raven, and I don't really count his videos as reviews for much today because he just puts the first episode on, he puts the pilot on, makes jokes about it, and then talks about his promo and his game. And a lot of the promo takes up a lot of the time in his video, so there isn't really much meat of commentary, if that makes sense. And it just kind of frustrated me because Daddy, I'm recording. Okay. I love my dad, but like, come on. As I was saying, seeing that he has the only really like review of this show up on YouTube. There are a few others, but his has the most views. So, you know, people are just going to gravitate to that one and click that one. You don't really want this. It's kind of harmful in a sense because people who have never heard anything about this show, they're just going to click on that and kind of just judge the show based on that. Even though he said the show wasn't necessarily bad, he said it does hold up to today, but he still was talking about how weird it was and things like that. Me being somebody that does have a personal connection with this show, and because of the African American aspects of it, I feel like it'd be best if I just did a full-on review and deep dive of That's So Raven, because I don't want this show's like reputation to kind of be tarnished on YouTube, and we do need more That's So Raven content over here. It's funny how That's So Raven is like one of the most iconic shows over like from my childhood, but when it comes to commentary, we really don't see much on it, but we see a lot of it on Victorious, which is another story. So today, all about Raven. Also, another reason why I felt as if his content can be a bit harmful is because a lot of the jokes that he makes can come off across as really mean-spirited and really negative, and it can alter the viewers' opinions on how they view that show. That's So Raven is a show that has done so much for me and many other black kids and just black people in general, because black people of all age watch this show. I still watch it to this day. I kind of don't want to watch it for like a good month because I literally went on a binge for this video, but you know, we're gonna get there. And I'm gonna go ahead and make a disclaimer. Just because I love That's So Raven, I am still gonna hold it accountable for all the issues that it has, because it has a lot of issues, and some of these issues are just gonna have to be branched off into other videos because it's going to be long. I'm just letting you get you some snacks, go ahead and take a pee break, go ahead and pause this video right now because we are about to go in on That's So Raven about everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. You got to love me, okay? We're about to go all in, so get ready, go get you some snacks. I already told you, pause the video right here. We're about to get into it. Harriyanna's take on That's So Raven. Quick disclaimer, for the sake of time, like I mentioned earlier, we're gonna have to cut down on so much stuff because I had to cut out so much stuff in this video because this video was gonna be like 4 hours long and I didn't have the energy to do that. So yeah, which means more Raven videos are coming into the future. So throughout my childhood, Disney had many original shows with black leads, but out of all the shows with black leads, only 2 of those shows felt black. And I'm pretty sure you guys know what I'm talking about if you're familiar. Those 2 shows are The Proud Family and That's So Raven. Please don't ask me to talk about The Proud Family. I already did it once on this channel and y'all didn't watch it. I will have that video linked down below. Please don't ask me to talk about The Proud Family. Go watch Wiley's video. My friend Wiley made an excellent video about That's So Raven. I will have that link down below, okay? I don't. My friend Tariq made a great video about That's So Raven where he had one of the people who worked on the show on it. Please, not That's So Raven, Proud Family. I don't want to talk about The Proud Family, y'all. Just give me a break. So what even is That's So Raven? That's So Raven is an American sitcom that ran from 2003 to 2007 on the Disney Channel, starring Raven-Symoné, who is an icon. I know I do have a lot of older viewers that watch me, so many of you guys may remember Raven from being on Hanging with Mr. Cooper and The Cosby Show. So yeah, that's how a lot of people recognize Raven. I remember my dad told me that he was like, that's Olivia from The Cosby Show. And I was like, no daddy, that's Raven. And he was like, no, that's Olivia from The Cosby Show. So like I said, she has a very recognizable face from people of all generations. So I find that really, really cool. And also Raven was doing the Cheetah Girls films at the time while she was filming That's So Raven. That's So Raven is a show about an African American girl that lives in San Francisco, and she is psychic, meaning that she can see into the future. Literally says in the theme song, you can gaze into the future. It is one of Disney Channel's highest rated shows to date, and also being one of the network's best received shows. So not only did the audience like it, critics liked it too. Which is basically also a professional way of saying that teens and adults also like the show too, because not only did kids watch the show, teenagers watch the show, adults watch the show. The show is just very well loved by everyone. If you're looking for a show that you think everyone of all ages will like, That's So Raven is that show, okay? It still holds up to today. If anything, it's funnier now as an adult than it was when I was a kid. Because it's a lot of stuff in that show I didn't catch when I was a kid. Like, the stuff that's for, like, it's obvious that they threw stuff in there for kids to laugh at. And then they also threw things in there for adults to laugh at. That's how you do television, okay? But they did it really subtle to where kids wouldn't understand it. So, props to the writing team of this show. Props to them. And for these reasons alone, this is why I believe Raven-Symoné ran Disney Channel during her time, okay? Like, I'm telling you, Raven was that girl. People do not give Raven as much props as she deserves. Everybody talk about Demi ran Disney Channel. People talk about Miley ran Disney Channel. People who say Zendaya run Disney Channel. People say Hillary ran Disney Channel. People say Selena ran Disney Channel. All of these people ran Disney Channel at certain points. But we gotta remember, Raven did it too, okay? She literally carried it on her back after Hillary was gone and before all the other little girlies came, and even Raven's little time then, she was still in the lead, okay? She ran Disney Channel. Even though Raven has power, she is psychic and she can see into the future. I'm trying not to sing this theme song every time I say that. What she sees is usually something normal. So sometimes I forget, and sometimes some other people forget too, that she's psychic, because her vision sometimes have very little to do with the plot. Like, sometimes the vision will be brought on very early on into the episode, and then it won't be brought back up again. So I find that really just interesting. Like, even though the show is about a psychic teenage girl, it's still very realistic in those aspects because of the things that happen to her or things that would happen in, like, your everyday life. But, you know, it's a kid sitcom. Of course, they're going to have wacky, out of this world episodes that make no sense in real life. But for the most part, it's a very kind of like slice of life show, which I pretty much enjoy. Entire show's run, I just find this really funny, and I have to throw this in here, is that Raven always got a problem with some white girl. Like, every other episode, she has a problem with some white woman trying her, and it's a freaking hilarious. I can't help but laugh, okay? She be putting them in her place. Sometimes she just be the bigger person. I'm just like, oh, it's just really, really funny in a sense. Also, I love how the family in the series actually felt like a real family. That's a problem with a lot of kid shows nowadays, and that I'm not trying to like I don't be buying that the families are real families. Like, I'll take an example from one of my favorite Disney Channel series of all time, Shake It Up. That Shake It Up deep dive analysis is coming, y'all, okay? I don't care. I'm still going through with it. We have Ty and Rocky. Yes, we saw that they had like a great sibling dynamic between the two, but with the parents, it felt a bit off. Like, Ty and Rocky had great brother-sister type chemistry right there. Like, you can tell that if someone told me that these people were really siblings in real life, I would believe it, because they got along so well and they had great interactions and they were able to bounce off back of another. But the two people that played their parents, it just was not there. It just kind of felt like they were strangers to them and they just barely interacted with them. It felt like they barely knew these to adults when they interacted with them. And another example I would use would come from Henry Danger. But I just think because Jace Norman is just trash at acting, and I can say that because he supports Cheeto Man, okay? But yeah, when it comes to Piper and the parents, I believe they're a real family, but with Henry, it's just not clicking to me. Everybody and their mamas was on this show. Like, you will recognize somebody from watching this series, okay? Including iconic stars and pop stars. Another reason why That's So Raven is that show. Every season featured like a really, really big famous name celebrity. Like, I'm telling y'all, I don't have no problem with modern Disney Channel whatsoever, because like I said, a lot of it ain't that much different than when we were kids, but they don't do the celebrity guest appearances like they used to anymore, and it really kind of breaks my heart. It really kind of breaks my heart. That's So Raven had everybody in it, and they had everybody in it before they blew up. Like, freaking Niecy Nash and Tiffany Haddish were in this show, okay? People before they blew up was on That's So Raven. But what about That's So Raven makes this series so great? And I have one word, well, one name for you. Raven. That's So Raven is one of the first times me and many other black girls saw ourselves on a live action sitcom that was meant for us. And not just black girls either, because this show had like a great impact on black boys too, with Eddie and Cory's characters. The show did so much for black kids because we got to see ourselves leading on Disney Channel. Like, it was really nice to see how the white kids just sat aside for a moment and a black kid ran the show here, okay? The black girl was in charge. The black boy was in charge. We were like, this is our show. This is our run, and y'all just go sit to the back, okay? Representation matters. That's all I'll say about that. Representation matters. Another reason why That's So Raven is one of the greatest shows of all time. So many black adults also rewatch the show all the time, even though it is a kid's show, because of how much of the positive impact that I had on them. Like, I literally throw on That's So Raven because it gave me so much nostalgia and just happy feelings, and yeah, I just loved it. But then I started, you know, the Harriyanna in me started to recognize some of the problematic stuff in here, and I was just like, oh, okay. Yes, it could be annoying sometimes with a lot of the characters being very stereotypical, with them being very loud, and I did have a bit of an issue with the adultification of Raven in this series. Now, when I say that, I mean, like, she will be dancing very suggestively, she would be twerking, and also having so much responsibility over her little brother. In some stakes, she would be very, very motherly towards him. Now, I'm bringing back the adultification of this show later on in this video. We're just going to leave this here for now because it's a specific season of the series where it's a really, really big problem in my opinion. But this all is just kind of nitpicking about the issues with the diversity. But That's So Raven is diversity done right. It's diversity done right. And that's a big thing from a network that screams misogynoir. That's saying a lot. But I'm gonna be real with y'all. Even though the diversity is great for the most part, the show has an issue with colorism, okay? It does have an issue with colorism, which is just going to get its own video in the future. I'm just gonna hit on it real quick right now before we can continue and go on, because there is this one character named Loka who is, she's a beautiful girl. I'll go ahead and say that she's a beautiful girl, but the way the show has her portrayed, they portrayed her as the duff of her friend group, where she was the tallest one, she was the darkest one, she was the loudest one, and she was the meanest one. Well, she wasn't really the meanest one, but her being mean was always played off for laughs and for jokes. So, hey, when the diversity is good, it's good. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this isn't a problem, because it's a big one, okay? It's a big issue. And the main reason it's a big issue is because That's So Raven always brings in day players from time to time. And sometimes a lot of the day players will be a mess and whatever. But this girl recurred through season 2 and 3. That's why it was an issue. And also recurring throughout the series, she was one of Raven's antagonists along the side of a Latina girl and a white girl, and later on a light-skinned black girl. So, yeah. She was very similar to like Dejanay from the Proud Family in a sense, where you know how Dejanay always hits on Sticky and Loco will always hit on Eddie. But you know, that's gonna be another video on its own right there. We're just gonna stop talking about it right now. And since we are on the topic of diversity, we can go ahead and get into character talk, which is my favorite part of these episodes. Okay, this show likes to swap in and out so many characters from time to time, and it's just way too many just hit on. Like I said, I don't want this video to be extremely long, so we're just gonna talk about the main characters. And when I say the main characters, I'm just talking about the ones that pop up in the opening credits. So let's begin. Raven, the star, I adore her with all my heart. She's such a good person inside and out. She's always just a really, really fun girl. Even though she does act mean sometimes, she's always comes back around and she always tries to do the right thing. So that's why I think Raven is a pretty good protagonist. Okay, she's a pretty good protagonist. She aspires to be a fashion designer, and it makes me sad knowing like what happened in the future with her career in fashion design. Yes, I watch Raven's Home from time to time. Give me a break. I will praise Raven's Home though in that sense for making the show very realistic to real life, because sometimes your dreams just do come true. They just don't come true sometimes, and that's the reality. Disney be lying to y'all talking about everything gonna come true. It's not. You gotta kind of make sacrifices. But just because I love Raven does not mean that she's not open to my criticism. I'm saying I don't care. Like I said, I keep it real. I keep it straight up. We're gonna get into the issues with Raven. I adore her, but sis, y'all gonna get mad at me about what I'm about to say, but like Raven become a bit frustrating from time to time because she's very selfish. She can be very, very selfish, and she wasn't always a good friend to Eddie and Chelsea because she always was just thinking of herself. And she wasn't always a good sister to Cory. She would just be mean to him for no reason sometimes. Like, she could be very, very shallow sometimes. She could be very, very jealous sometimes. And a lot of the issues with why she was like this was because of her psychic visions, where she could see into the future and she'll try to alter her past to make sure she'll try to alter the present to make sure the future would turn out to be the way it does. And usually she hurts people that way. It's not that she doesn't mean to hurt people. She's just really nervous about how her future is going to turn out because she can always see it. Like, just because I like Raven doesn't mean I'm not going to ignore all the bad that she's done. Because sometimes I didn't like Raven. There are some episodes where Raven got on my nerves at one point where I was just like, I don't like you right now. I think I'm going to just come back to you in the next episode. Like I said, Raven always does come around at the end. But sometimes she was just a bit way too frustrated for my liking. Like, I hate the fact that I didn't like her sometimes because of her behavior. Raven always meant well. She never really wanted to hurt anyone, and because of Raven just being such the good heart person that she is, she will go into making situations worse thinking that she's making them better, where sometimes Raven just needs to sit down. Like, you want to root for Raven a lot of the times, but sometimes she makes it so difficult. And I can say this because I literally rewatched the show all month long. But that's a Raven for you. She's a lovable troublemaker by accident. And for the most part, she knows how to carry a show in the back. One of my favorite characters of all time. Usually main characters don't be my favorite characters. Raven is on my kin list because I saw a lot of myself in her character. That's probably why I was able to read her so well. Next, we're going to get into Eddie. Now, Eddie...
They know I'm the shit. And that Van Gogh getting down from your bitch.
All I want to say is bless Orlando Brown's heart. I'm happy that he's doing better. I don't care. That song slaps. I had to put that clip in here. I'm sorry. How was I supposed to know? But yes, Eddie was Raven's best male friend. For the most part, I loved the strong platonic relationship that these two had. And as they've known each other since they were little, and they be with each other all the time, they've been in with each other through thick and thin. Because even if they piss each other off, they always come running back to each other. Like, Raven and Eddie were like each other's ride or die, friendship wise. I will get into that mess they try to pull at the end of the show later. Right now, we're just talking about the friendship, okay? I know we like to joke around about Orlando Brown, but he is super duper talented. We don't give Orlando Brown his props. I've been rewatching a lot of these old black sitcoms, and he's been in all of them, okay? He's super duper talented. His performance as Eddie was amazing. I always look forward to seeing his little jokes and whatever in this series. This thing been out the entire time. Sometimes it was written to where he was kind of like the girl version of Raven because they were very similar in some cases, which is why they butted heads a lot because their personalities were a bit similar. But for the most part, I did like Eddie. Pretty really good male character. A black male character that I just truly adore so much, and I wish people would give him the same props that they did Raven Baxter on the show because he's just as great. Now we're gonna get into Chelsea, who played Raven's best female friend. Also, Chelsea was Raven's white friend. This is like an ongoing thing in just television in general. If there's a black lead, they'll have like a white counterpart. So it's just that. A part of me kind of wishes that Raven was closer to other black girls her own age, because I personally think it's important that black women have strong friendships and good connections with other black women, because it's just certain things that you guys are not going to be able to relate on if with other people of other races. But I think that's why Eddie was there in that sense. So I kind of give it a pass because she did have Eddie, but it really would have been nice if she did have a black female friend that she was close to. And I'm not saying that Chelsea should not have been in the show. It's just like I really wish they could have had like a recurring female friend character that was black for Raven. But going into Chelsea, I thought she was really, really sweet. She was a bit dim-witted, but you give her a pass because she's such a sweetheart. I love Chelsea. She's so lovable. You can't stay mad at her for long. Even when she pisses you off, she like kind of looks at you like, and I'm just like, okay, Chelsea, I forgive you. I forgive you. Raven was kind of awful to her from time to time. Not gonna lie, like I mentioned earlier, like Raven always wasn't the best friend to Eddie and Chelsea. And I like how Chelsea was always kind of there to put her in her place. Like, there were plenty of times where Raven was extremely out of pocket and Chelsea was not afraid to stand up for her. And that is a lot of problems that people have with their friendships, is that they will have one girl overpowering them the entire time and they won't do anything about it. But I do love how Chelsea was not afraid to stand up to Raven, because sometimes Raven needed to be put in her place and sometimes her bestie had to do it for her. A lot of times on Disney and Nick, when they have a white girl going off on a black girl, it comes off a bit as anti-black, but I never really got the sense of that with Raven and Chelsea because they had such good chemistry together. And it's happened multiple times throughout the show, but I don't get that feeling because you can tell that Chelsea genuinely does care for her. And overall, the chemistry between these three actors is what makes the show so strong. These three literally, if it was like no other way, the show would not have been great. Like, okay, now we're getting to Cory. Cory is Raven's little brother. They had a bit of a 5-year age gap between them. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I don't like Cory Baxter. I really don't like him. I don't care for him. I just find him really, really annoying. He was a lot more bearable when he got older in season 3 and 4. But in seasons like 1, it's kind of like they didn't know what to do with him. His storylines were just really kind of annoying. Cory, for the most part, he's just kind of like the annoying little brother character. I don't really care too much for him. And I think that's part of the reason why I don't like Cory in the House. Yes, I don't like Cory in the House. Mainly because I don't like Cory Baxter. And a show that heavily just centered on him was not hidden for me. I'm sorry. I hate to say it. I hope I don't sound ridiculous. But I don't like Cory Baxter. I don't know who this man is. Like, they took the character I despise the most and made a show for him. So, no. He's just annoying. Victor Baxter, one of the best TV dads of all time. One of the best black TV dads, too. Because one thing that I have picked up on when I watch a lot of shows with, like, black characters and all that, the dads be trash. A lot of the black fathers be trash. I think that Victor Baxter was an amazing father to both Cory and Raven, because he just wanted the best for his kids, but he didn't make it to where his kids couldn't talk to him. If they needed something, they could always went to their dad for what they needed. Amazing chef, by the way. I know Raven and Cory was eating good every night because their daddy could throw down in the kitchen. But literally, he was one of my favorite TV dads of all time. Such a great guy. Like, I think part of the reason why I like Victor Baxter so much is because he reminds me a lot of my own father, too. Like, my dad, he loves to cook. Even though he's not a chef, but my dad loves to cook. I'm really, really close with him. Like, I'm like a daddy's little girl. In a sense, I did get that Raven was a daddy's little girl from time to time because of how strong her connection was with him. I love how she just didn't feel nervous when it came to her father figure in her life. So, Victor Baxter, great man. And now we're into Tanya Baxter, great woman. I love the parents on That's So Raven so much. They were just so great. She was a cool mom, if you ask me. I think she was a pretty cool mom, in my opinion. She just understood everything, and she just wanted the best for her kids. But one thing about her is that she was not going to let her kids talk to her any kind of way. She was not about that business. She was not about to let these two little kids run over her. So, yes, she was a cool mom, but when she knew it was time to be mommy, she stepped in and was mommy. So, Tanya Baxter, great. But she's just kind of like your typical TV mom. I don't have an issue with that, to be honest, whatsoever. Just like your typical black TV mom, caring for her kids, puts them in their place when needs to, and there. She's just there to be the mother figure. And I adore her. She is so, so gorgeous, by the way. So, so gorgeous. The last season just felt really empty without her being there, which is another... When I get into season 4 talk, y'all gonna hate me. Y'all gonna drag me. But season 4 just felt so empty because she had to depart from the show to with a family emergency. I'm gonna discuss each season separately because they all just have different feelings towards them. But each season of That's So Raven just felt like a new stage in Raven's life. So it is best to talk about each season individually.
5 hours later.
Okay, I'm back. Ooh. If I took a break because this video was long. My nail popped off in the middle of me doing this. If it looks different in here, the sun went down. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the talks of this season. Started with season 1 of That's So Raven, where Raven was at her youngest. The show begins when she is only 14 years old. Here, Raven just wants to fit in this season. That's just kind of how her arc goes. She's just trying to fit in. She's at a new school and she just wants to leave a good impression on everybody, where she just wants to make sure she's not dating anybody gross or hanging around anybody gross, and she wants to throw a great party and things like that. Just like typical little freshman in high school stuff. It's a pretty cute season. The white girls kept getting in Raven's way and she was just not having it. Like I said earlier, every season has Raven going back and forth with some white girl, and it's just funny. It's extremely funny in the beginning, and it's even funnier in the end when she's a lot older. In season 1, it's a great introduction to Raven because Raven is one of the most likable main characters out here, in my opinion. Like, because yes, she's a nice girl, but she messes up a lot. Like, Raven is not perfect. She's not like your typical Mary Sue character. She messes up a lot, and then she learns from her mistakes. Like, but she's also not a mean girl, and she's not that nice girl that's actually a mean girl in disguise, and she's just really slimy. Raven genuinely is a nice person. She doesn't mean any harm for anybody. So season 1 really just set the tone for the entire show, because this show really is just about Raven messing up, fixing her mistakes, and learning from her mistakes. So it's not even really about her mistakes with other people half the time. A lot of the times it has to do with her making mistakes within herself and how she can grow from them and how she can learn from what she's done. And so in this season 1, there was an episode where there was a party and the girl was being really mean to her. Of course, if you're wondering, yes, she was. If you're wondering where she was, Raven gets revenge on this girl, and then she realizes this isn't the way to go about it. And there's also another episode that I will highlight called Driven to Insanity. This episode is just really freaking funny, and I think it's one that a lot of people can relate to in a sad sense of dating older dudes or being interested in older dudes. They're honestly not the best. Raven goes on a date with an older guy and then realize the older ones ain't no more mature than the ones her own age. I personally think that's my favorite episode from season 1, and I think because of episodes like that, that is why this show appealed to a younger audience, an older audience, because it has something in here for people of all ages. It's like, even though Raven does messes up a lot, she has a really, really big heart and learns from her mistakes, and that's why I find her so likable. So season 1 really only had 2 main seasons. I'm so mad my nail popped off. 2 main seasons, which was Raven's house and the chill. It was Raven's house and the school. Those were the 2 main settings for That's So Raven season 1, which doesn't really bother me, like I said, because we were just getting to know Raven and her world. She's a teenager, and those are the 2 main places that teenagers are at all the time. Raven does go to other places from time to time, but they're not really brought back up into the plot. So these 2 are just like the main setting from here. Oh, this doesn't really mean anything, but I just want to highlight that Niecy Nash was in this season, and I love Niecy Nash, and we need to give her the credit she deserves as an actor and an entertainer. I just adore Niecy Nash with all my heart. I'm sorry. Season 1 of That's So Raven was pretty strong. Very, very enjoyable. She's a lot younger in this sense, so I can see why adult audience really wouldn't be too into this season, but it still does have the mature aspects in there. So season 1, very high enjoyable. Okay, now we get to season 2. Season 2 introduces a new setting that this show is very well known for, that everybody remembers it for, the Chill Grill. The Chill Grill is her father's restaurant. In season 1, we hear about him talking about being a chef and things like that, and he worked for other people. But in season 2, we actually get to see his own restaurant. Yeah, I wanted to eat here so bad when I was little, and I still want to eat here so bad, okay? I would love to go to the Chill Grill with my friends one day, okay? I would love to. Like, what do they sell at the Chill Grill? Remember Raven said they sold steak and lobster and seafood? I think I would enjoy the Chill Grill's food, okay? But season 2, we are also introduced to Raven's first love, Devon Carter. Devon Carter is Raven's only ongoing love interest, and this is honestly my favorite love arc that she had in the show. Not because it was the only one. This is my second favorite one, actually. I do have another one because there actually was a guy that I liked better for Raven than Devon, but we'll get into him in season 3 when he's introduced. Right now, we're just here to talk strictly about her relationship with Devon Carter. Raven has dated and had crushes on other boys throughout the series, but he's the only one that just kind of mattered, in my opinion, because he was the only one that kept coming back up throughout the show. Now, I kind of don't like how in the beginning of how they got together, because Raven said that she thought he was unattractive and she didn't like him at all. But once he had his little summer glow up, like, you know, there are a lot of kids that have that summer glow up when we're younger. They be butt ugly up in the 7th grade, and in 8th grade, you'd be like, okay. That's exactly how it was for Devon Carter, but in this case, it was 9th grade to 10th grade. She didn't start to like him until puberty hit him well, and then she was head over heels for him. But then I have to remember, I can't really judge Raven too much on this, but like I said, Raven can be very shallow sometimes. She's a teenager. This is how all teenage relationships work. A lot of teen relationships, not all, but a lot of them are based on looks. But after his glow up, Raven did get to know him a little bit better, and she genuinely did like him for who he truly was. And he liked her for who she was too. So it was really, really beautiful to see. And I was just crying, like, in the episode where he moved away. I was boo-hooing. Pain. All I know is pain. I thought it was a really, really cute puppy love, and I was obsessed with this couple when I was in middle school. Like, in middle school, I went back and rewatched a lot of Disney Channel shows from my childhood because, like I said, middle school was literally the worst stage of my life, my lowest point, and I literally depended on TV and celebrities to get through that point. Also, I think I will highlight about this season is how her feud with Alana, who was played by Adrienne Bailon. This feud right here, it really brought the best out of Raven in my opinion, because it showed that she isn't really a bad person overall. She just acts before she thinks, and Alana was just freaking terrible. We actually got to see somebody that wasn't a bad person, and here we got to see that Raven isn't a bad person. She just acts before she thinks, and that's like her biggest character flaw throughout this entire season. But then if Raven didn't act before she thought, there would be no show. So you just kind of have to deal with it. Like, Raven's not terrible, she just makes decisions way too often, and she doesn't have any like good input when she does. The thing about it is that when Raven makes these decisions, she doesn't really have bad intentions with them. So that's why she always just feels guilty in the end. But out of all the seasons of That's So Raven, I'm pretty sure season 2 is my favorite. Season 2 is my favorite. I don't know. I think I mainly like it for the aesthetic of season 2. I really like the character arcs. Raven was just kind of like the perfect age for me, in my opinion, where it's like she wasn't too old but she wasn't too young. It was just like she was like just right for like teenage age when it comes to television shows. I'm pretty sure she was about 16 in the season, 15, 16. When it comes to like teen sitcoms and things like that, that is like my favorite age for the kids, because it's like they're not too young to be annoying, but they're also not too old to be a bit boring in that sense, or they're just kind of over it. Like, that's like the perfect age when it comes to like portraying teenagers on television, and that's why I feel like season 2 is the best, because it really just showed the best of her character, in my opinion. Okay, season 3, which is the longest season. They had 35 episodes. Who's still doing 35 episode seasons? Who got time for that? Apparently I did, but because they were airing new episodes every day, that's why this season had 35 episodes. I'm not complaining though, because the episodes in season 3 are pretty solid, and the season 3 episodes are usually the ones that many people remember this show by. Since the first episode of season 3 is my favorite episode, I will speak about this one. This is my favorite episode of That's So Raven. It's my sister's favorite episode too. It breaks my heart every single time I watch it. I literally cried at the end of watching it because it hurt me so bad. The episode is called Psychic Eye for the Sloppy Guy. Basically, Raven gives a guy that she sees has potential in himself a makeover. She falls for him. He already liked her, but you know, once he got the makeover, other girls liked him too. And in the end, it just really didn't work out because Raven didn't speak up for him. And I really wish they could have did more with this relationship. But you know, this is when Raven was still involved with Devon. She was involved with Devon the entire season, and I don't know, this is just my opinion. I really wish that That's So Raven did something more with this arc right here. I truly love this episode so much. It is my favorite. I literally kind of reimagined myself where Raven and this guy got together in the end, and he was the dad in Raven's home and things like that. I truly adore this episode with all my heart, and it just breaks my heart every single time when it gets to the end of the episode and he goes through the flip book.
I guess we just weren't meant to be.
And he reveals that he just wished he could have been with her. It hurts me. Pain. All I know is pain. I'm really over here crying over a freaking Disney Channel show. I need to get it together. I really do need to get there. But please, if you guys are looking for a great episode of That's So Raven to watch, highly recommend Psychic Eye for the Sloppy Guy. It's my favorite episode. It really shows Raven Simone at her strengths when it comes to acting. I just think it's a really beautiful episode, and it also truly shows you how a lot of teenage relationships and just relationships in general, because this does happen with a lot of adults, is that if you stay quiet, nothing gonna happen. You literally could have this amazing person here that is willing to be in your life, but because you won't say anything, it just won't happen. And that makes me so sad. We were on Tumblr talking about how we wish they could have brought this guy back for another episode, and I was just boo-hooing. It was a really sad night. But anyway, we're gonna get more into season 3, because the first half of season 3 feels like season 2, and then the last half of season 3 feels like season 4. So season 3 is a bit weird in a sense, because it's kind of like the show went in a little shift in the middle of the season. Like, they're both very similar in taste, but here we get to see Raven learn more about becoming more responsible as she is job hunting and joining clubs in school that require a lot more effort than the stuff she did when she was like in season 1 and season 2. We get the infamous episode, True Colors, that everybody knows is the racist episode. Basically, in this episode, Raven and Chelsea are applying for a job. The person that is in the hiring process for them is white. It's obvious that Raven is doing much better than Chelsea at this job, but because the woman does not like black people, Raven doesn't get hired and Chelsea gets it anyway. And I do love how Chelsea was just not here for this woman being racist. Chelsea is the Black Lives Matter activist we all deserve. Chelsea is an amazing friend. I am so glad that Chelsea knew that what this woman was doing to Raven was wrong, because there are so many people in this sense that they say they are down for their black friends, but when it comes to them being oppressed, they don't do anything and they stay quiet. So I'm glad Chelsea actually did something about it and she helped get that woman fired, because I'm sorry, y'all, we talking about racist stuff. I'm sorry, we have to talk about this episode. Like, I literally watched this episode with my dad in the room, and he, like, my dad loved watching that serving with me as a kid. I was just kind of confused about it, because in elementary school, they try to teach us that racism don't really exist that much, and if they do, they try to say it's better when it's really not. Racism is racism. All racism is bad, okay? We were taught that, like, racism really kind of only happened from, like, slavery to the civil rights era, and then, like, now they don't really bring anything up. So to see something like this on television on a kid's network, where they actually had a racism plot, it shook you. It really does shake you. And after that episode was over, after she says that infamous line, "I don't hire black people," I looked over to my dad and I was like, is it really like this? And he straight up told me yes. And I was like, and it hurt. Like, that really hurt for a little kid to see that. And this episode still stings to this day. It really hurts my heart watching this. And when I rewatched it, I was just getting so angry, especially with everything going on in the world. And you guys know what I do on my channel, and it just really, really hurt. But this episode alone, if you just show somebody this also shows you why That's So Raven is so important, because it was not afraid to go there. Now, there's a bit of a shift in the middle of season 3, like I said earlier, as the show did have more of a mature tone, including that True Colors episode. Also, there's an entire episode that's the last episode of season 3 with an old jazz singer called The Four Aces. Really, really cute. And this episode kind of didn't really focus too much on Raven. It focused more on the jazz singer. Like, this also contributes to, like, how this show felt very unapologetically black, because the Proud Family and That's So Raven did have very similar characteristics when it came to plot structure and things like that. Except Raven had way better friends than Penny Proud, okay? She had way better friends, but then they also both had a racism episode. They both had an episode when they went back to black people in the old-timey days. Like, it's very similar in a sense, and that's why I was saying, like, these are like the only 2 Disney Channel shows that actually just feel black in a sense. Also, this season, we got that terrible Country Cousins episode, which I hate. I always block that episode out of my mind. Yes, That's So Raven did have some very low moments, okay? The Country Cousins episode is terrible. Highly don't recommend watching those. The Boys in Motion are also introduced this season, too. But the Boys in Motion are going to get their own video on their own time, because that, like I said, I had to cut this video down, and Boys in Motion got left out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Boys in Motion. You're going to get your own video, babies, okay? You guys are great. Now, towards the end of the season, you can tell that Raven is changing a bit as she becomes a more mature with her style of clothing, and she's dressing and acting a lot older in that sense, so it plays along with it. Leading us into season 4. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, season 4 was my least favorite season of That's So Raven. I just don't really, it just kind of do nothing for me. I don't really like it too much in that sense. It's my least favorite season for numerous reasons. I like to call That's So Raven season 4 Eve for kids. If you guys don't know what Eve is, I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. Eve basically is an African-American rapper that I love with all my heart. She had a television show, Eve, which basically was about her being a fashion designer and making clothes and things like that. Season 4 of That's So Raven just felt like Eve for kids, an age-appropriate Eve. Mom was gone, like I mentioned earlier, and because of her mother leaving, I didn't like how Raven was becoming a bit more motherly to her little brother. Like, she was a lot more overbearing of him and things like that. Like, I understand she is his older sister, but I'm like, sometimes she was just doing a bit too much, where it just kind of felt like she was taking care of Cory, and I really didn't like that whatsoever. Like I said, the adultification of black girls in the media, and this right here contributes to it, because this happens with a lot of black households, where the older siblings become a lot more responsible for raising their younger siblings, and that's kind of what it felt like in this era of That's So Raven, because like, even though Victor was there for Cory, it's just because the mother wasn't there anymore, it's like Raven kind of stepped in a lot more to be there for her little brother, when I was like, why can't the dad do it? But he was working a lot. Raven had her internship, and then she was still juggling trying to make sure Cory was good, so that was very, very frustrating. And not only was Raven a lot more motherly to Cory, she had a little sister in this little sister program called Sydney, and Sydney is played by Sydney Park, you know, little Miss Tootsie Roll from Spork, that horrible movie that I reviewed on my channel that you guys should watch. Now watch my review, don't watch the movie, because that's a mess. But yes, she becomes responsible for a little girl named Sydney, who is very, very troubled. She has no good mother figure in her life whatsoever, and Raven in a sense becomes a bit of her mother figure because she didn't have one. And I know Raven was supposed to be of a more big sister figure for her, because Sydney didn't have a big sister, but because Sydney really didn't have a mother either, that's kind of what it was for Raven. But Sydney was just a child in need, and Raven, having the good heart that she is, just wanted to help her no matter how bad Sydney got on her nerves. So even though this was my least favorite season, I really did enjoy the episodes with her and Sydney, even though I did have an issue with the adultification of Raven Baxter. Also, Raven just got a little too old for me this season. I noticed that in many of these Disney Channel and Nick shows, that when the shows get towards the end of the run, the plots change and the cast doesn't really seem to be into it that much. And this also was around the time when Raven did depart from Disney. This is when she was in her final days of Disney before she came back in about 2017 and 2016 when she started doing Raven's Home. But it just kind of seemed like Raven was over it in a sense. And this was a really, really big problem in the last 2 seasons of iCarly. Them kids just got way too old. They weren't funny anymore. They got really annoying. It's just like, not really an annoying in a sense, but they just kind of seemed like they were annoyed to be there. It's like they were just over the plot. Now, there's a big debate on whether or not this episode was the series finale of That's So Raven, or this episode was the series finale of That's So Raven. And I don't really care, because I can't stand either of these episodes. I think That's So Raven ended on a very, very weak note, and I am going to tell you why. Now, the first episode we are going to talk about is that freaking PSA Captain Planet smoking episode, because I can't stand it. This episode basically was about how Raven was trying to prevent Cory from smoking, but it turns out Cory was trying to prevent his girlfriend from smoking. Everybody just seemed so pissy in that episode. Nobody seemed really into it. It was just They say it's not the season finale, but it was the last episode to air, which makes no sense. Like I said, it was just a PSA. I wasn't really into this episode at all. It just kind of was just a little pissy. I don't like how everybody was just in a bad mood for this episode, and I don't like how this show brought so much heart to it. Like, this show makes you smile, but in the end it just kind of makes you go like, well, it ends like that. That's the end of Raven's teen years. That's the end of it. And then the actual episode that they claim to be the season finale, but it didn't air last, which doesn't make sense, is the Eddie's birthday party episode. And I can't stand this episode, even though it's a bit of a more satisfying ending. I still can't stand it because they were trying to bait Raven and Eddie together when literally that is one of the reasons why That's So Raven was so great. We had a strong platonic relationship between a male and a female that have been best friends since they were little kids. Here, they were trying to do that friends to lovers shit, and I was just not here for it. I was just so annoyed. I couldn't do it. I was so over it. I hated it so much. It really just kind of ruined the ending of this show for me. I was like, I don't like how this show just kind of ended with there being a possibility of Eddie and Raven dating each other. I just was not here for it because it just kind of ruined the overall premise of them just being friends. They had a beautiful friendship. Don't ruin it. And then also, what makes it worse is that this show ended up getting a spinoff, Cory in the House. So yeah, not a very, very satisfying ending. But we did get Raven's Home, which I think Raven's Home was a better continuation of That's So Raven than Cory in the House. Because Cory in the House just don't hit. It just don't hit. I'm sorry. It's just not good. I will fight y'all on that. Cory in the House is not a good show whatsoever, okay? I don't care what none of y'all had to say. Cory in the House is trash. But I'll defend Raven's Home, okay? Raven's Home, like I said, the show's not for everybody. Some people watch it for the kids. Some people watch it for Raven and Chelsea. I watch it for Raven and Chelsea. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not really a bad show. There's something for the kids and there's something for the adults. But even though That's So Raven season 4 wasn't my favorite season in a sense, it's not a bad season. Like, some people actually prefer season 4 where she's older than the other seasons when she's younger because of the shift in the show's run. I just personally, it just ain't for me. Usually I like it when the shows do get older. Like, it's half and half for me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I love Shake It Up when the kids got older, and I love Sister when the kids got older. But here, I just was not feeling it. Woo! This video was a struggle to make because it hurt me knowing that this is kind of like the only kids show of its own. It's literally its own. We will never see another That's So Raven, and if we do, it's probably not coming anytime soon. There are 3 other children's shows out here. This really is bothering me. I'm so mad. How did I break my nail in one day? This sad. But there are really only other 3 children's shows with a black lead, and that includes That's So Raven, True Jackson VP, and How to Rock. How to Rock lasted for 1 season, and it was not that great. The cast was talented, the music was good, but the plot was just not good whatsoever. It was just really, really trash. And I am a girl that was a fan of the 2 books, the How to Rock books. It just didn't hold up. I just didn't like it. And then also True Jackson was great, but it is memorable. I adore True Jackson VP as much as the next person. I love Kiki Palmer. I think she's such a beautiful, talented woman. But if you ask me anything about True Jackson VP, I can just tell you I remember the theme song, and I can tell you I remember the fashion, and I can just tell you she worked at a fashion in the fashion industry. I can't tell you anything else because it was not memorable. Hi, so I forgot to mention Ant Farm. So how did I forget to mention Ant Farm? So you know what? I'm just going to talk about it right here real quick in this little insert for the video. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't want to set my setup up. I'm tired, y'all. I have a headache. Give me a freaking break. But Ant Farm has the same issues as How to Rock and True Jackson VP, where one, True Jackson VP did feel more like a black show, but it also wasn't memorable, and 2, it was a black girl in a white space, and that was the issue with Ant Farm. Not only was it not very memorable, like the only thing people really remember about it is the music. China McClain was that girl on them songs, okay? But at the same time, the only black people in that show were China, the dude who played her brother, and her mother and her father. Like, that's it. She was a black girl in a white space. So that it's no different. It's still not a That's So Raven, like I said. Anytime a black girl is the lead on a TV show, she has a white counterpart. Like, I love how in That's So Raven, it was so clear to the audience who ran the show, and it was a black girl. Like, I am aware that Raven is not the only black girl that has her own show. Like, we have Moesha and 101 and Sister Sister and all of those shows like that. I love all of these shows. I watch them all the time. I watch them on reruns. Like, TV shows that have a black girl lead, I watch them all the time, like sitcom wise, okay? The 2000 sitcoms, the 90s sitcoms, I stay having them on repeat. But this show was specifically made for kids, while the other ones were not. That's what sets That's So Raven apart from those. While those are a bit more slice of life, this one is like slice of life too, but a bit more wacky in a sense. And I also love how she's not racially ambiguous, by the way. Sure, she is on the lighter side when you look at her, but you don't think anything else when you see Raven. Raven's black. This show left a cultural impact. Basically, Raven-Symoné left a cultural impact, which is why she ended up getting her own spin-off series a whole decade later, playing Raven Baxter again. Okay, like I said, Raven is that girl. I know Raven has said some really ignorant things in the past, but I'm just talking about this woman's talent right here. I understand, and I hold her accountable for the ignorant things she has said, okay? But it's pretty decent to some. People judge the show a little bit too hard, in my opinion. Like I said, it's just something for both adults and children's. But if you want to watch a show to see if you would like to watch Raven's Home to see what adult Raven is up to, I do recommend, because it is very pleasant to see. It's just nice to see Raven-Symoné still bringing that Raven Baxter energy. She has not changed. She still has that sweet, bubbly personality as she did when she was a teenager. It's just nice to see that she grew up into a beautiful woman, and she's just still trying to chase her dreams. Like I said, it was never too late to chase your dreams, and that's what I love so much about Raven's Home, because even though she's struggling and doing this and that and the third, she's just still trying to make it work. And with Raven's Home, you can tell that Disney is trying to get that older audience back, because kids that grew up watching That's So Raven, we're adults now, and Raven's Home is on, and it's something for all of us. It is something for all of us whatsoever. This video was a bit of a struggle to make. We will never see another That's So Raven, and if we do, it's not going to be anytime soon. Woo! Y'all, this was a trip, okay? I think this might be my longest video to date. Raven Baxter, Raven. Like, what is there left to say? This show is amazing. Even though it has flaws, and I acknowledge them for what they are, it's great. And this show is extremely special to the black community, specifically the African American community. I really wish kids would get another show like this, because watching That's So Raven and just sitting down and being excited for the new episodes that would come on, that was really, really fun. And I'm pretty sure kids are going to get that sense when the new Proud Family, Louder and Prouder, comes. Yeah, black kids just deserve a nice little show on their own that actually just feels black. Like, I know they have the Owl House with Luz and things like that, but like, that's kind of coded for like a little fish out of water story with a little black girl in a white world. And here we just kind of saw a black girl in a multicultural world, in a black world here. And it was just really, really nice to see. But now I'm just kind of rambling at this point, and I need to end this video because it's long enough. If you would like to see more of me, go make sure you follow me on social media. Please go support me on Patreon. Like I said, I will leave the link to this down below. Shop is coming soon. Shop is coming soon. Shop is coming soon. I love you guys. Thank you guys so much. And yes, thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Will just blow your mind. Buttercup like villains 3 at a time. Bubbles will smile while kicking your butt, and Blossom will lead them out of their rut. Cherish and Powerpuff, 2 of a kind. Both wanna save the world before bedtime. From Townsville, Memphis, New York to LA, the Powerpuff Girls are just here to stay. They